Hello guys, welcome to H2O, the A to Z of chemistry. I'm Dr. Ritu Johar, your educator for this course on general organic chemistry, and I hope you are enjoying this course with me. Today we are going to begin with GOC part 2, lecture number 12, but make sure you watch the previous ones before viewing this one. In GOC part 1, we've had a detailed discussion on the nomenclature of organic compounds, and part 2, this is a detailed discussion on isomerism for the organic compounds. So I hope you all have been watching all the lectures because it is going to be very essential for your understanding, especially when we are talking about optical isomerism. It is going to be really very essential that you do not miss a single lecture. We are on to optical isomerism lecture number 4. Various educators, they teach this topic in a different way. Somebody is going to teach you the concepts in one order and the other is going to teach you the concepts in another order. So it is going to be very much essential for you people to watch one educator completely for a course on optical isomerism, be it us or anybody else. But it is going to be very essential that you watch the complete lectures on optical isomerism by one teacher only. You will not be able to shift between concepts because that is going to make your understanding incomplete. So far in optical isomerism, what we have learned is that what is optical isomerism, what are chiral molecules, how are the chiral molecules related to one another, the chiral molecule and its mirror image compound, they are non-superimposable on each other, and both of them, they are called as enantiomers, and because the enantiomers, they differ in their behavior towards the plane polarized light, well, they are called as optical isomers. Now, in the lecture number 2 of optical isomerism, what we were discussing was how do we identify whether a particular molecule is going to show optical isomerism or not. And there you learned a very important concept that if there is a molecule which has only one asymmetric carbon, well, that molecule is going to be 100% chiral, and if it is going to be 100% chiral, it and it's an enantiomer, they are going to exhibit optical isomerism. But then we got stuck up that if a molecule has no chirality center or a molecule has more than one chirality center, that is, it is having more than one asymmetric carbon, then what are we going to do? How are we going to decide for that molecule it is going to exhibit optical isomerism or not? And here it is very much important to now understand about the elements of symmetry. So we will be putting up 2 lectures on elements of symmetry because there are going to be 4 elements that you will be learning, and we are going to discuss only one of them in this lecture, and that is going to be the plane of symmetry, and the rest 3 elements we will be taking up in the next lecture, right? So it is going to be again a very important discussion which you should not miss. You should watch it from the start to the very end. So let us begin the learning. So let us begin the lecture from where we left at lecture number 10 from this course or optical isomerism lecture number 2. How do we find out whether the molecule this is going to be chiral or not, or how do we test for the chirality for various molecules? And we had certain options that we were learning. And option number 1 was that we construct the model for the molecule as well as its mirror image and then check for the mutual superimposability. If they are going to be superimposable, the molecules, they are going to be achiral. If they are non-superimposable mirror images of each other, the molecules, they are called as chiral molecules. They are going to be enantiomers of each other. They are going to be optical isomers of each other. But the problem is that you are not able to carry the models to the examination center where you will be appearing for your various examinations. So that is not going to help us. So let us see the option number 2 that we have. So option number 2 is that we draw the 3-dimensional structures of the molecules and then try to superimpose these in our minds. Yes, this we can do in the examination, but again, this is going to take a lot of time. And time is something that is going to be again a difficult question which you have to manage, because in your examination there are so many questions and you have to attempt them in the quickest time possible. So this is also not a very good option. So we move on to option number 3. Option number 3 is that we just simply draw the structure of the molecule on the paper, and then we find out how many number of stereogenic centers they are present in the molecule. Alright, and when we are talking here about stereogenic centers, we are talking about the chirality centers, not the center which is going to be there for geometrical isomerism. And a chirality center is going to be one atom which is going to be surrounded by 4 different types of groups around it. Okay, and if only a single stereogenic center is present in a molecule, there's a single chirality center present in a molecule, that molecule is going to be 100% chiral molecule. Right, I hope this is clear. For example, you have all been seeing the structure of 2-butanol. So carbon number 2, this is surrounded by 4 different groups, so this is a chirality center. And because in this molecule there is only one chirality center, so this molecule is going to be 100% chiral. Now the option number 3, the second thing is that we can have more than one stereogenic center, or there may be no stereogenic center present in the molecule. Then what do we do? Well, that is going to need further testing, and this is where actually we will be beginning this lecture. So for example, in this molecule here, you can see is that we have this carbon and this carbon. They, at the intersection, they are going to be carbons present. This is the Fischer projection. Okay, this is a Fischer projection for the molecule tartaric acid, and I'm going to just now tell you about this a bit more today, so that when we are discussing the various types of projections in our lectures, it is not difficult for you people to understand. You've already learnt about the wedge and dash diagrams. This is going to be one more diagram in which we can represent the various organic molecules. This is Fischer projection. I'll be just now talking about this more. Okay, so here in this intersection there is a carbon present, and this carbon is going to be surrounded by 4 different groups. Similarly, this carbon over here, this is also going to be a chirality center, because that is also surrounded by 4 different groups. And we do not know whether this molecule is going to be chiral or not, because that is what we have not learned. So how do we know about such molecules, whether they are going to be they're going to be chiral molecules or not? So the option number 4 that we have is that we are going to rely on methods determining chirality based upon the symmetry of the molecule. So in this lecture, what do we learn? We are going to learn how do we find out about the symmetry of the molecules. Okay. So let us learn about these elements of symmetry. There are going to be 4 elements: plane of symmetry, which we denote by a sigma; a center of symmetry, which we denote by an I; simple or proper axis of symmetry, which we can even say simply axis of symmetry, which we are going to denote by a Cn; and alternate axis of symmetry, that is Sn. Alright, so these are the 4 elements of symmetry which we will be discussing. First of all, let us have a brief idea about them. A plane of symmetry, if this is going to be present in a molecule, well, that molecule is going to be an achiral molecule. It is not going to be chiral. It will not have enantiomers. It will not have optical isomers. Okay, what is it? We are going to just now discuss that. Center of symmetry, well, if this is also present in a molecule, the molecule is going to be achiral. If a molecule has an alternate axis of symmetry, then also the molecule is going to be achiral. If a molecule has an axis of symmetry, the molecule may or may not be chiral. So the axis of symmetry, this is present in chiral molecules also, this is present in achiral molecules also. What is it? You will be understanding about it. Fine. So this does not help us differentiate between molecules whether they are going to be chiral or not. Fine. Now, if all the 4 elements of symmetry, they are absent in a molecule, we call that molecule to be an asymmetrical molecule. I will be giving you the write-up for all these things. Do not worry about that, but just have a brief understanding. Okay. So if I have a molecule which does not have any of these 4 elements, well, it is going to be asymmetrical. Okay. And if a molecule has any one of these elements of symmetry, yet the molecule is a chiral molecule, we call it as a dissymmetrical molecule. Okay, so asymmetry and dissymmetry. So asymmetry is going to be when all the four elements of symmetry, they are absent in the molecule. But for example, I'm telling you that in a molecule, axis of symmetry may or may not be present. Fine. So may or may not be present. So if it is present and yet the molecule is a chiral molecule, we call that molecule to be a dissymmetrical molecule. So the necessary condition for a molecule to be a chiral molecule is going to be dissymmetry. Okay, it is not asymmetry. The necessary condition is going to be dissymmetry. There should be no plane of symmetry, no center of symmetry. There should be no alternate axis of symmetry present in a molecule if it has to be a chiral molecule. So now let us learn about them in detail and have an understanding what do we mean by this, and how learning about the symmetry we are going to able to identify in a molecule whether it is going to be a chiral molecule or not. So the first element of symmetry, this is the plane of symmetry. We denote this by the letter sigma. And how do we understand? What do we mean by this plane of symmetry? Well, first of all, look at this. So you started the lectures on optical isomerism with the learning that the hands of ours, they are chiral object. Why are they chiral? Because if you look at the left hand in front of a mirror, what you will be seeing is your right hand. So the right hand is the mirror image of the left hand, and the left hand, its mirror image, they are non-superimposable on each other. Therefore, we say that the right hand and the left hand, they are chiral objects. Right? I hope this is clear. Now what we are going to do is we are going to learn, rather than superimposing on each other, we are going to just change this. We are going to find a plane of symmetry in the objects. So when we do that, if you look at the hand, we are going to place now the mirror bisecting the hand into two halves. Okay, so this line that you can see, this is a mirror. Okay, so this mirror now, this mirror is bisecting my hand into two halves. Similarly, this is a sphere, and I have placed a mirror bisecting this sphere into two halves. Imagine that you have a football with you and you are just splitting it into two halves with the help of this mirror. Okay, so this is going to be something you are imagining again, but I hope you can understand. Although if you do not understand, I'm going to just now show you everything with the help of the models also. That is going to make your understanding very clear. Fine. So I have a mirror, and with this help of the mirror, I am going to bisect my football into two halves. And the two halves, they look as the mirror image of each other. Right? So you can see that this half, this is going to be the mirror image of this half, and this half is the mirror image of this. So this is a plane of symmetry. And if in an object there is present a plane of symmetry, that object is going to be a achiral object. Right? And if we look at the hand, now again we have taken the mirror, we have bisected our hand into two halves, but the two halves, they are not the mirror image of each other, they are unequal. So such objects which cannot be bisected into two equal halves, which are the mirror images of each other, well, they are going to be called as chiral objects. Okay, so let us define now plane of symmetry. So plane of symmetry, this we call as the mirror plane, a plane which is just like a mirror. Okay, an imaginary plane that bisects the molecule so that the two halves of the molecule, they are the mirror images of each other, which you see it in the sphere, which you do not see it in the hand. So such a molecule is not chiral if it possesses a plane of symmetry. That is why we say that a sphere which has a plane of symmetry, it is going to be achiral, and which does not have a plane of symmetry, you can divide it into two halves this way also. right? I can place the mirror over here also. Even then I will not find the two halves to be equal. So such an object, this is going to be a chiral object if it does not have a plane of symmetry. As far as the plane of symmetry is concerned, we have four elements, right? So when we are talking about the plane of symmetry and we are differentiating between the two, I am saying that there is no plane of symmetry in the hand, so hand is a chiral object. So plane of symmetry, now this may pass through atoms, between atoms or both, and this is something that I will start with the understanding for you people with the help of the models, and then we will be looking up to the diagrammatic representations of everything, and then we will be seeing certain questions related to it so that you have a perfect understanding of the concept. So now I'm going to help you understand the plane of symmetry, the different planes of symmetry that you can make in the molecules with the help of the models. And here what you can first of all see is that I have taken a clay ball into which I have inserted three lines, you can say. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain you over here is the three coordinates. Actually, this is going to be the x-axis, this is going to be the y-axis, this is going to be the z-axis. They are going to be all perpendicular to each other. I am just holding them with the help of this clay ball so that this remains stable. Now this is a line. A line has one dimension, and a plane, it has two dimensions. So I'm taking a play card to make you understand a plane now. So this plane over here, what you can see is this is along the y-axis, this is along the the x-axis. So it is having two dimensions along the x and the y-axis. So this plane is going to be the xy plane. If I take another plane, so this one over here, okay, so this I have played it along the z axis and along the y axis. So this is going to be my yz plane, and one I am going to just place on the floor of the table. So this is going to be along the x axis and along the z axis. So this is my xz plane. Okay, so I hope first of all these things they are clear to you, because these planes I'm going to use to cut the molecules into halves. And if those halves they are going to be mirror images of each other, well, that molecule is going to have a plane of symmetry, and that molecule is going to be achiral. That molecule will not show optical activity. Okay, so now I'm just going to place it a bit backwards so that you can see the molecules being cut now. So I have now this over here, a sphere. This is an atom. Okay, now this is an atom. I have chosen spheres because all the atoms they are going to be spherical in nature. So I can cut it into now two halves, and if you are seeing it, well, you can understand this is going to be in what plane? Well, this is going to be the xy plane, and with this I can just cut this atom into two halves. One half will be in front and one will go backwards. Okay, so this you can understand now, this is a plane of symmetry because this is cutting the atom into two equal mirror image halves. Now I can cut it in another way also. Fine, so these now you can see these are going to be the two halves. So rather than using an xy plane, I can cut the sphere also in the yz plane. So I can do it this way also. And another way in which I can do it is, well, I can take this card and cut through the molecule, slicing it in the xz plane. Now a sphere, this has infinite planes of symmetry because you can cut it anything which is going to pass through the center of the sphere. Well, this is going to cut it into two equal halves. So I can cut it this way, I can cut it into this way. So a sphere, this is going to have many planes of symmetry, but the molecules they may not be having so many planes of symmetry. And what you have to identify is just one plane of symmetry in a molecule. So first of all, now I hope you understand what is a xy plane, a yz plane, and a xz plane, how I'm inserting the plane, these playing cards, and cutting the atoms into halves. Okay, now understand this, that I have one sphere. Let us assume that this is a carbon. Okay, and now I have placed one oxygen on this side and one oxygen on this side. So this is a molecule of carbon dioxide. Now in this molecule of carbon dioxide, what I want to check is whether it has a plane of symmetry or not. So the first way, you just see over here, well, I am going to cut this. This is a cut I am making in it in the XY plane. So, right, so I am cutting the through all the three atoms, going to be one half on this side and one half will be going back. So if I just pick it up, so easy to understand also that I will be having the two halves on the uh, each side of the playing card. Now, another way in which I can cut this molecule is that I make a cut in the YZ plane. So here now I will not be cutting through all the three atoms. It is going to be only through the carbon atom, and the oxygens, they will be attached to the two halves of the carbon. Okay, so this is going to be another plane of symmetry that is possible in this molecule. Another plane of symmetry this is possible is that if I use it, the cut in the XZ plane. So again, I can insert it through the XZ plane, this card, and it is going to again cut through all the three atoms, and on both sides of the playing card I am going to have equal halves of these three atoms. This would be another plane of symmetry that is possible for this molecule. So now you are understanding how a plane of symmetry, this can bisect a molecule into two halves. Let us see one more. I just want to show you a cyclic compound so that you can understand, and then we will be just moving on to the diagrammatic representations, because ultimately that is what we have to see. So now I've just put the three balls together in the form of a triangle. So if three balls, they are attached with single covalent bonds, three carbon atoms, this would mean that this is a cyclopropane. But these are just three atoms, so this means that there have to be two hydrogens also for each carbon. So I'm just showing you putting up one of them. All right, one is going to be above the plane of the ring and the other is going to be below the plane of the ring. So now when I'm going to do that, well, if I'm going, I'll just place it in this way so that you can see. Fine. So there is going to be one hydrogen below also, which I am not showing, but you can understand that if it is going to be one above the exactly, the other hydrogen will be below. Now what I'm doing, I am cutting through one carbon and one hydrogen, and obviously when I'm going to put this plane of symmetry, it is going to cut one hydrogen below that carbon also. And these two walls, they are solid, they have not been cut, but I have found a plane of symmetry. I will be having two halves in this way. There is going to be these atoms cut into halves, these full, but they are going to be a mirror image of each other. Okay, so this is a plane of symmetry I have found in cyclopropane. So this means the cyclopropane, well, this is going to be again a achiral molecule and it will not show optical activity. So with this understanding in mind, let us study and see the various planes of symmetry in the diagrammatic representation of the molecules. So now I hope you have a clear understanding what do we mean by a plane of symmetry and how you're going to identify in the various molecules that a plane of symmetry is present or not. So now what we are going to do is we are going to see the diagrammatic representation of the various molecules, and there we will be trying to identify one by one, learning how we are going to see whether the molecules, they have a plane of symmetry or not. And for that, it is very essential that you should know how to draw these molecules on a piece of paper. In the past 3-4 lectures, well, you have been seeing the various representation of the molecules. Then we are showing you the diagrammatic representation. There are 3D diagrams, there are other diagrams as well, which make us and understand how a molecule is arranged in the three-dimensional space. So briefly, we will be just talking about how we are going to draw the various enantiomers. I'm going to teach you 2 ways how we are going to do that. There are still 2 more ways left after that also, but that I would be taking up when we will be talking about conformational isomerism. So the 2 ways, well, first of all is going to be the wedge and dash projections that you have already seen. We call that as the perspective formula as well. Fine. And in this, if you look at the molecule given below, what you can see is that there is a carbon which is attached to 4 different groups. So this is a chiral molecule, right? And in this chiral molecule, how have we represented the 4 groups which are attached to this carbon? There are 2 groups which are simple lines, right? Simple lines. And these mean that this carbon, this bromine, and this hydrogen, well, they are on the plane of paper. Okay, so the carbon and along with these 2 groups, they are present on the plane of paper. One bond which we are representing as a solid wedge, this is coming out of the plane of paper towards us, and the fourth, which is a hatched wedge, which is drawn by these dotted lines, well, this is extending behind the paper, this is going away from us. So this all you have seen previously. Also, I have explained you the wedge and dash projection in the previous lectures also, so I hope there is no problem understanding this projection. Fine. And this is one way we are going to draw it, and this is going to be its mirror image, and well, these two are non-superimposable on each other, so they are the enantiomers for each other. Okay, now let us learn the other way in which we are going to project these molecules, so that when we are discussing further in the lectures, you do have an understanding how we are going to change one form into another, what the two diagrammatic representations they mean. So the next way in which we are going to represent the various enantiomers, well, that is going to be the Fischer projection, which was given by Emil Fischer. You have also seen this projection in the previous lectures also, but I have not talked to you in detail about the meaning or the interpretation of the Fischer projection till now, which I'm going to do that today. Fine. So that is why I say so many times that optical isomerism is going to be one topic which you should watch one educator from the start to the end. Why? Because this is a topic which we have subdivided into various lectures, because it is a big topic, but it is just one topic. Fine. So if you watch some educator, I'm not saying watch me only, watch any educator which you like, but watch the topic completely so that you have a proper understanding. There would be some educator who would teach you what is optical isomerism, what is plane polarized light, how the various compounds they are differing towards the plane polarized light. In the first lecture, I taught you that in the third lecture, right? So please do watch any educator, but watch the topic completely by that person so that you have a thorough understanding of the concept. Fine. I am teaching you the way I think is going to be the best way in which you can learn the concept. The other educator may think that the way he is teaching is going to be the best way in which you can learn the concept. So it is going to be just a matter of perception and how you like the educator. So watch anybody, but please watch the complete topic by one educator so that you have a complete understanding. Fine. So now we were talking about the Fischer projection. So just like the wedge and dash representation, this tells us the three-dimensional arrangement of groups bound to an asymmetric carbon. The Fischer projection is also doing the same thing. In a Fischer projection, what you will see is that we will be representing the asymmetric carbon at the point of intersection of two perpendicular lines. Okay, so this is a horizontal line, this is a vertical line. At the intersection of the two lines, what we have is an asymmetric carbon, and you can see that it is an asymmetric carbon because it is attached to 4 different groups. The horizontal one, well, these two groups which are going to be represented by the horizontal line, these are the ones which are coming out of the plane of paper towards the viewer, and the vertical line, this is going to represent the bonds which are extending backwards from the plane of paper away from the viewer. If you remember seeing in the previous lectures the model where I showed you the various representation, I told you for the wedge and dash representation also, when a carbon and two of the groups, they were on the plane of paper, one was coming towards you and one was going backward. Please do watch the previous lectures if you've not watched them. And in the model again I showed you that if we represent we hold the model in such a way that two of the horizontal groups, they are coming towards us. Well, they are going to be two vertical groups which are going to go backwards. So we are representing the two groups which are aligned horizontally, which are coming towards us this way, and the two vertically aligned which are going backwards with the vertical line in a Fisher projection. All right, and the carbon chain always is drawn vertically with C1 at the top of the chain. Okay, so whatever is your C1, for example, if there is a COOH group, so you will be starting the chain from that end. So whatever is your C1, that should be placed at the top of the chain. So this is going to be the Fisher projection for 2-bromoprotane, and this is the mirror image compound. These two are going to be the enantiomers of each other. Fine, I hope this is clear. So now another thing which I've shown you in the models in the previous lectures was that if we interchange the position of two atoms or two groups around the asymmetric carbon, we will be getting the enantiomer in the perspective formula as well as in the Fisher projection. But if we interchange two atoms or groups a second time, it is going to give us back the original molecule. Or if you remember, in the model I exchanged three groups simultaneously, right? First group I changed and then we changed the second one. So I hope you remember those, that we changed the position of three groups of atoms, one exchange and second exchange, and you get back the original molecule. So you have to watch the previous lectures if you've not watched them. If you have watched them, you are going to understand what I'm saying over here. So these are the two ways in which we can represent this molecule over here. So this is bromochlorofluoromethane. Okay, so let us assume this to be a bromine, this to be a chlorine, this to be a hydrogen, and this to be a fluorine, and the black one to be the asymmetric carbon. So you can see over here that these two groups, they are coming towards us, right? And these two vertical ones, they are going backwards behind the plane of the paper. Fine. So this is how you will be drawing the wedge and dash representation or the perspective formula. These two ones which are represented by the solid wedge, they are coming towards us. By the hatched wedge or by the dotted wedge, well, this is going to be going behind the plane of paper. So these are going to be represented this way. So vertical line, a horizontal line, you see the Fisher projection for that. The point of intersection of the two lines, well, this is going to be the asymmetric carbon. Similarly, you can see the mirror image compound for this. We have called this an R and a S bromochlorofluoromethane. So this is another thing that you still have to learn, how we are naming the two enantiomers. So that is going to follow up obviously this lecture as well. Fine, so everything you will be learning, but slow and steadily. You cannot learn everything. So you now know how we draw the wedge and dash projection for a molecule, and you also know how we are drawing the Fisher projection for a molecule, right? So now let us learn how we are going to identify in the molecules the plane of symmetry. So now in the plane of symmetry, what you have to remember is that it can pass through atoms, between atoms, or both. So the first molecule that I have for you is chlorodifluoromethane. There is a carbon in the center which is surrounded by four groups. One is a chlorine, a fluorine, a hydrogen, another fluorine. So what this means is there is one carbon which is bound to four different groups. So this carbon is going to be sp3 hybridized. But for a chirality center, you need all four different groups. And here we have two fluorines. So these are not all four different groups. So this is carbon is not a chirality center. Fine. So how do we determine whether this molecule is going to be chiral or not? If there was one chirality center, we would have certainly said that yes, this molecule is chiral. But there is no chirality center in this molecule. How do we tell whether this is going to be chiral or not? Whether it is going to be superimposable on a mirror image or not. So for that, we take the help of the plane of symmetry. So now how we identify whether a plane of symmetry is present in this molecule? Look at this plane that we have drawn. So just imagine that I am just slicing this molecule with the help of the playing card that you saw in the models. that I am slicing this chlorine, carbon and hydrogen in the middle. Okay, and when I'm doing that, there is going to be one half of this chlorine, one half of this carbon and one half of this hydrogen, which will be above that playing card, and the rest of the halves of these three atoms, they will be below the playing card, and along with that there is going to be one fluorine atom above and one fluorine atom below. So if that playing card now it is a mirror, well, you will understand that these two halves that we have created, well, that is going to be the mirror images of each other. So we have found a plane of symmetry in this molecule, right? And if there is even one plane of symmetry which you can identify in a molecule, well, that molecule is going to be definitely a chiral. It cannot be chiral, it will not show optical activity, it will not have an enantiomer. Okay, I hope this is clear to you people. Fine. So this molecule, this is going to be achiral because you could identify this plane. This is what plane? This is a XZ plane, right? So this is a X, this is the Z coordinate, and we have divided this molecule into two halves with the help of this plane. Let us see one more molecule now. It is going to be 2-chloropropane. So in 2-chloropropane, well, we have three carbons. Let this be carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3. So this is going to be a CH3 group. This is going to be a carbon which is attached to a hydrogen and to a chlorine, and this is going to be the methyl group. Okay, so a CH3 over here means that three hydrogens are attached. So this cannot be a chirality center. Similarly, this one cannot be a chirality center. And this one, if you look again, this is attached to two similar groups of atoms. That is the two methyl groups. So again, this cannot be a chirality center. Fine, but we do not know for certain whether if there is no chirality center present, whether the molecule is going to be optically active or not. So here we again try to identify the plane of symmetry. So if you look at now the molecule, well, you will find it out that this molecule, this is going to be achiral because this is the wedge and dash representation I have drawn for you people. Okay, so we have the two CH3 groups, a chlorine and a hydrogen, and if I slice is in between. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am making chlorine atom half, a carbon half and a hydrogen half. Okay, and with these half atoms, these groups, they are going to be attached, and well, then these are going to be the mirror images of each other. So we have found a plane of symmetry in this molecule, and if you found a plane of symmetry, you obviously know that the molecule is going to be a chiral molecule. Perfectly clear, I hope. Now look at 2-chlorobutane. So in 2-chlorobutane, what you know is that we have carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3. There is going to be a methyl group. Then there is one carbon which is attached to chlorine and hydrogen. And then there is a ethyl group. You have been talking about this molecule so many times. Fine. So, well, here what you can see is now this carbon, this is an asymmetric carbon, and if in a molecule an asymmetric carbon is present, we are 100% sure that the molecule is going to be a chiral molecule. So let us see just similar fashion the wedge and dash representation of the molecule, and in this wedge and dash representation, the same way, if we draw a plane which is going to bisect the molecule into two halves. It will be splitting the chlorine, a carbon and hydrogen into two halves. But the attached groups, well, that is going to be a CH3 group on one side and a C2H5 group on the other side. Well, this is going to be not symmetrical halves, right? So they are unequal halves. When we drew a plane of symmetry, you can try finding out any other plane of symmetry. You will not find any plane of symmetry in this molecule. So this is going to be a chiral molecule, right? So I hope now you understand how you're going to identify a plane of symmetry. Let us see some more examples. So the next molecule that we will be discussing is the water molecule, and the water molecule, this is very close to my heart because this has the molecular formula. Well, it is H2O, and H2O chemistry is the name of the channel I'm working for. So obviously this is very close to my heart. and probably one of the first formulas that you people learned while you started learning chemistry. So leaving that well aside, let us talk about the plane of symmetry of this molecule. So here I have a structure which we are representing now as the spheres that you have seen the models for. So how can we cut these spheres so that we get two halves which are going to be mirror images of each other? So what I'm going to do is I am going to have a plane which is the XY plane, the horizontally I am going to cut this. Okay, so I am inserting a card from below or from above, but I'm going to bisect it into two halves. What will you get? I will be getting half of the oxygen atom, half of the hydrogen atom on one side of the card, and the other is going to go on the other side. How will be they looking like? Well, this is going to look like this to me, and it is going to look like this to you if we are looking it on the other side. So these are going to be now mirror images of each other. Hence, we have found a plane of symmetry in the water molecule, which means that this is going to be optically inactive compound. Okay, now one plane of symmetry is sufficient if you find, but can I show you one more? Yes, I can do that. Okay, so this is now another plane that we have, which is going to bisect the molecule into two halves. What is this plane? This is the YZ plane. Now we are just going to vertically put the card down, and when I'm going to put it vertically down, well, what is it going to do? It is going to just cut the oxygen atom into two halves, and the two halves, they are going to carry one hydrogen atom along with it like this. Okay, so this is going to be one half and this is going to be the other half. In between there is a mirror, or there is the card with I showed you as we were discussing in the model, and these two, they are the mirror images of each other. Hence again another plane of symmetry. One plane of symmetry, if you can identify, that will be more than enough. Okay, so this molecule, this is achiral molecule, and this is going to be optically inactive. So the next molecule we discuss is the BH3 molecule. Boron is forming 3 sigma bonds with the 3 hydrogen atoms. It is going to be sp2 hybridized. It is going to be a planar molecule. All the bond angles, they are going to be 120° and all of them, they are in one plane. So how can we find a plane of symmetry in this molecule? Well, look at the spheres now. Boron in the center and white ones, they are the hydrogen atoms, and I am going to bisect it with a XY plane. So now I hope you can all imagine it. So we will be doing that quickly. So what I will be getting is on the two sides of the plane, they are going to be half of the atoms, which are going to look like this. Okay, and there is going to be one more plane which I can show you over here, and that is going to be the XZ plane. Now in the XZ plane, now what you can see is that when I'm going to divide this molecule into two halves, it is going to look like one half and this is going to be the other half. So again we have found one more plane of symmetry. Well, I can show you one more just similar to this. You have bisected these two atoms into half. You can bisect these two atoms into half, or you can bisect these two atoms into half. So these are the three planes in which you can cut this molecule so that you can find a plane of symmetry, and this is the fourth one. So the 3 plus 1, 4 planes of symmetry, they are possible for this molecule. If you find even one of them, well, this is going to be perfect. Okay, so this molecule is also going to be optically inactive. So next, let us look at another molecule that is going to be the NH3 molecule, nitrogen. This is forming 3 sigma bonds and there is one lone pair of electron. So it is going to have a tetrahedral geometry, but a distorted one. The structure of the molecule, this is a pyramidal structure. So let us draw that. Okay, so this is how it is going to look like if I draw a three-dimensional image of the molecule, and whether this has a plane of symmetry. Think where it is going to be. Well, this is going to be the plane of symmetry. Fine, so you can see that if I draw a plane which is going to bisect the lone pair orbital, it is going to bisect the nitrogen atom into two halves and one of the hydrogen atom into two halves. Well, I will be getting two structures like this, which are going to be the mirror image of each other, and hence we have found a plane of symmetry by bisecting the molecule into two halves. This is going to be optically inactive. Okay. So the next molecule I have is the benzene molecule, that is C6H6. All the 6 carbons, they are arranged in a ring. All the carbon atoms, they are forming one sigma bond with one carbon, and on the other side it is going to be a double bond and there will be one hydrogen attached with it. So this means that each carbon atom is going to make 3 sigma bonds. Each carbon is going to be sp2 hybridized, and when it is going to be sp2 hybridized all carbons, well, this molecule is going to become a planar molecule. Okay, so how are we going to get one plane of symmetry for this? Well, we can have it in the xy plane, which is going to bisect the molecule into two halves by cutting through all the atoms, all the carbon atoms, all the hydrogen atoms into two halves. So this is going to be one half that is going to look to us, and the similar half is going to look onto the other side of this plane. Clear enough? Now let us look at another plane. Well, what you can do is you can slice it this way. Okay, so there is one carbon over here with a hydrogen, just slice it through, and the other carbon and hydrogen. So these four atoms, they will be cut into two halves, and the others, well, they will be just coming along with the two halves. So this is how the two halves, they are going to look like, and because they are going to be a mirror image of each other, so this is going to be another plane of symmetry. And well, we can make many other planes of symmetry like this. In fact, this molecule, well, this can have 6 plane of symmetry. Okay, so I'm not discussing everything over here, but just if you find one of the planes also, well, that is going to be sufficient. So benzene is also going to be optically inactive. Now the next molecule that we discussed, this is the most interesting one. This is the molecule that you have seen at the start of the lecture. You have seen this molecule while we concluded lecture number 10, where we were learning about the asymmetric carbon or the chirality center. So this is the Fischer projection for the tartaric acid molecule, a molecule without which the study of optical isomerism is not going to be complete. We are going to discuss a lot about this molecule in the upcoming lectures, but here you have a Fischer projection for the molecule. The cross section of these perpendicular lines, there is going to be one chirality center and there is going to be the second chirality center. This carbon H, OH, COH and the whole group, this carbon a H, a OH, a COH and the whole of this group. So these are 4 different groups to both of these carbons. So there are 2 chirality center, and when there are 2 chirality center, we do not know whether the molecule is going to be chiral or not. And the reason why we are studying about the elements of symmetry is because we want to know if there are going to be more than one chirality center in a molecule, whether the molecule is going to be optically active or not. So let us see if this molecule has a plane of symmetry. If it has a plane of symmetry, obviously it is going to be achiral. It will be optically inactive. So this is a plane which can bisect this molecule into two halves in such a way that the two halves, they are going to be mirror images of each other. So I hope you can see if this is a mirror, or this is my playing card with which I have just cut the two halves of the molecule. Well, you can see on the two sides, they are going to be similar structures that you can see. So this is a plane of symmetry which is bisecting this molecule into two halves, and hence this is going to be a achiral molecule. It is going to be optically inactive. I'm going to talk a lot more about this in the upcoming lectures, as I've already told you, but now at least you know that tartaric acid, this has a plane of symmetry. That is why it is going to be achiral or optically inactive. Okay, great. So now I hope you have a clear understanding what is a plane of symmetry, and if it is present in a molecule, that molecule is going to be an achiral molecule. Now what we will be doing is we will be strengthening our topic further with the help of a few questions where we will be have to identify whether a plane of symmetry is present or not. And here we are not going to use any models, we are not going to use very elaborate three-dimensional diagrams, because that is not what is going to be possible for you people in the examination. In the examination, you are going to have your paper and your pen, and you will have to think with that paper and pen how you are going to think, how you are going to find out a plane of symmetry. That is what we will be doing now. The first molecule, I will also be writing it up just like you will be doing in the examination now, right? So we have a methane molecule, first molecule that we will be doing. There are going to be two bonds with the hydrogens which are going to be on the plane of paper. There is going to be one bond which is coming outwards, right? So projecting out from the plane of paper, and there is going to be one bond which is going to be going behind. Okay. Right, so this is going to be the molecule. Now the red ones, they are on the plane of paper. You are going to insert a playing card. I think now you can just imagine with that playing card only, that is a plane. So you are going to insert a plane, you are going to insert a mirror, and you are going to cut the carbon and the two hydrogens which are on the plane of, on the one plane, into two halves. Okay, so what you will be getting is that if you are inserting a plane of playing card just like we have done it in the models, well, you will be getting half of the carbon and half of the two hydrogens on one side and the remaining on the other side, and along with one half there is going to be one hydrogen, and on the other side there will be the other hydrogen. And if you look at the molecule, where you have bisected in such a way that both of these halves that you have got on either side of the playing card, they are going to be a mirror image of each other. Okay, so this molecule is going to have a plane of symmetry. In fact, it is going to have 6 planes of symmetry possible. If you are able to identify only one of them, your work is done. The molecule is having a POS, plane of symmetry. It is going to be achiral. It will not show optical activity. All right, now the another way I can just show you is, which is going to be helpful for you, so here you can understand things fine. So we have also learned that the wedge and dash projection, what you can make this way also, that we have two horizontally aligned bonds which are projecting outwards, and two vertically aligned bonds which are projecting backwards, right? So this is one way, another way in which you can show the wedge and dash representation. Now imagine that you have a plane going through the carbon in such a way that it is going to cut it into half, in such a way that one vertical one and one horizontal hydrogen, they go along with one half of the carbon, and the other side the other half. So this is also going to be one plane in which you can bisect this molecule into two halves, again a plane of symmetry, and again the molecule achiral, it is going to be optically inactive. So you can just identify any one plane, your work is going to be done. That is what I am repeating once again, because you do not have to find all the planes of symmetry. One is going to be sufficient for you. Let us do one more molecule. We are having a CH3Br. So now I will be just doing one plane only, fine. So this is one. I will just do with a different color rather than making the wedge. That will take more time, fine. So now you again know, yeah, what we had to do was a BR. So I have placed the hydrogen and the bromine on the plane of paper. So again I am going to insert a plane which is going to be bisecting the carbon, the hydrogen and the bromine into two halves, and the two hydrogens, one is going to be on one half. So again, the carbon, the hydrogen and bromine, they are similar, halves on one side, and the hydrogens which were clinging, they are going to be one on each side. So this is going to be one plane of symmetry for this molecule, right? I hope this is clear. Let us do one more molecule, CH2Cl2. So here now what you can do, easy one, now that you understand. Okay, and this is one which is going backward. So again what you can do is that you can cut this into two halves. One chlorine will be projecting outwards, one which is going backwards will be with the two halves, and again we have found the plane of symmetry. Let us do one more. We have a CH2BrCl. So what I can do, I can put a Br and the Cl in the plane of paper. The two hydrogens, well, they will be coming this way. So again, the bromine, the carbon and the chlorine into two halves, one hydrogen on each side. So again, this is a plane of symmetry. So in all these molecules, what you can see is that at least around the carbon there were two atoms of the same kind, then there are going to be two atoms of the same kind attached to the carbon. What you will be getting is at least one plane of symmetry definitely, and the molecule that will be a achiral molecule, right? I hope this is clear. So now that you understand this, we will be moving on to the next set of questions. We are going to see some cyclic compounds. So now let us do a cyclopropane, which you have already seen in the model. So how you are going to think it on a piece of paper. So we have a cyclic ring of 3 carbons. They are going to be hydrogens for each carbon. One is going to be above the plane of the ring and the other is going to be below. And what are we going to do? We are going to cut through this hydrogen, the carbon and the hydrogen going downwards, and we will be able to cut the triangle into two halves. They're going to be one carbon with their hydrogens on one side and the other on the other side. So they are going to be mirror images of each other. Hence, it is going to be an achiral molecule. Let us do one more molecule. So here what I'm going to do is I am going to make a hydrogen, a chlorine and two hydrogens. So now you just bisect it downwards, the hydrogen, the carbon and chlorine into two halves, and we have got the molecule bisected into two halves. Let us do one more now. So I have a bromine over here and a hydrogen, Again you can cut it this way and you will be getting two halves. Again this is going to be achiral. Okay, so let us do one more now. So in this molecule what I have is a H, a Cl, I have a Br, a Cl, I have a H and a Cl. Well, now if you are going to drop down, well, you will be seeing that the two halves, they are not going to be the same. On one side we have a Br and a Cl, on the other side we have a H and a Cl. So this is not going to be a plane of symmetry. So is this molecule achiral? Is this molecule having any plane of symmetry? Think about it. All right, so now if I do a cut like this, okay, the bromine, the chlorine and the carbon, these ones, they will be cut into halves, the atoms will be cut into halves, and you will be getting again the triangle into two halves, and the two halves will be having one carbon with the hydrogen and chlorine on one side and the other side the carbon and the hydrogen and chlorine. All right, so again this is going to be one POS. So it is not only in one direction you have to see all the various possibilities. Okay, now let us do one more molecule. So this I have and what I have, Cl, a H, this way, a H and a Br, and a H and a Cl. So now if I make a plane of symmetry like this, now what you will be able to see is that on the two sides, yes, you have a carbon with a hydrogen and a chlorine, but on one side the chlorine is going to be above the plane of the ring, and on the other side it is going to be below the plane of the ring. Similarly, hydrogen is below and here the hydrogen is above. So this will not be a plane of symmetry. This molecule will have no POS. Okay, so just remember this, that this molecule will have no POS. Whether this molecule is going to be achiral or not, that is going to depend upon the other elements of symmetry that you have not still seen, but I will just refrain from commenting whether this molecule is chiral or not. But you just know that this molecule has no POS. There will be no plane of symmetry for this molecule. You will not be able to cut it into two halves. Okay, so I hope this one is also clear. So let us see some more. So let us see a few more set of questions over here. First of all, I have a cyclobutane. So I think this should be easy for you to find out a plane of symmetry, right? I can bisect the molecule this way. I can bisect it into two halves this way, right? They are going to be mirror images of each other. I can also cut it this way and through this diagonal as well, right? And another one is going to be when I will be bisecting it through all the carbon atoms. There are 4 carbon atoms over here which are forming the ring. If you are going to slice through that, put your playing card through that, you will be cutting the 4 carbon atoms into the halves, and one half will be getting the hydrogens which were above the plane, and the other half will be getting the hydrogens which were below the plane, and they both are going to be mirror images of each other. So this way you can draw the plane of symmetry for this molecule, and obviously so many planes of symmetry you have identified in this molecule, so this is going to be achiral. Okay, now the next what we will be doing is just doing some replacements over here. I can put a hydrogen and a chlorine here. So now can you find a plane of symmetry? If I cut it this way, it will be not mirror image halves. If I cut through this way, there will be not mirror image halves. All right. If I even slice through, there is going to be one half which will be having 4 hydrogens above, and the other half will be having 3 hydrogens and 1 chlorine. If I cut through this diagonal, then also I will not be able to get the halves. But if I do a cut like this, through the hydrogen, a carbon, hydrogen, chlorine and hydrogen. Now the two halves, they are going to have the chlorine atoms both side half, right? And the other sides you can see that we have a CH2, a CH2. So these are going to be mirror images of each other, and hence we have found a POS even in this molecule. And I can replace one of the hydrogens with the chlorine. So similar POS I will be finding for this molecule as well. Right, I hope this is clear. Now let us do one more molecule. So here now I have a CH3 and a H, and I have a CH3 and a H. Okay, so this one I think it is easy. You are going to just bisect it this way, you will be getting one POS. The work is done. If now I just change the position of the methyl groups, one above the plane and the other below the plane, now what? Will you be able to find one POS for this molecule? If you are going to cut it into two halves this way, there is going to be one methyl group above the plane and the other is going to be below the plane. Fine. So these are not going to be mirror images of each other, and hence this molecule will not have a POS. This molecule is going to have no POS. Okay. Let us do about the cis and trans isomers that you have seen while we were talking about geometrical isomerism. So first of all, you already know that the necessary condition was that we should have a carbon or an atom which is surrounded by 4 different groups.
So here you do not have a carbon which is surrounded by 4 different groups, but here we are not talking about all that. We are talking about whether the molecule has a plane of symmetry or not. If a molecule is having a plane of symmetry, that molecule is not going to show optical isomerism, right? So in this molecule, can you identify whether the plane of symmetry is there? Yes, you can divide it into two halves this way. Okay, so the two halves, they are going to be have mirror images of each other, hence it has a plane of symmetry. Can you identify any more plane of symmetry in this molecule? Well, this carbon is sp2 hybridized, this carbon is also sp2 hybridized. The molecule is going to be a planar molecule, and when you have a planar molecule, you can just slice through the atoms into two halves. Okay, so you are going to just slide down your playing card between now the hydrogen, the chlorine, that is going to just keep on cutting the hydrogen, the chlorine, then on its way it is going to be the carbon, then the next carbon, then the hydrogen and the chlorine, and above the playing card you will be getting one half of these atoms, and on the other half you will be getting the rest of the hemispheres of the atoms. Okay, so this is going to be another plane in which you can divide this molecule into two halves. So the cis compound, you now know this is going to be having a plane of symmetry. What about the trans compound now? Sorry. Okay, so this is now the trans structure that I have. So now here you cannot divide it this way because it is going to be not mirror images of each other. One chlorine is above, the other chlorine is below, so they will not be the mirror images of each other. And if you're going to divide it this way, again there is going to be one chlorine above, one chlorine below, so you will not be able to have any POS over here. But what about the slicing one which we did? Because this is a planar molecule, so you are going to insert your playing card again. There is going to be one chlorine above the plane, one half of the chlorine below, one half of hydrogen above, one below, similarly carbon, carbon, hydrogen. So there is going to be at least one plane of symmetry even in this trans compound. Okay, when you have sliced through all the atoms which are present, because this is a planar molecule. So whenever you have a planar molecule, at least you can do that. You can put one plane which is going to be the xz plane. You are going to cut through that molecule into two mirror image halves, and that molecules, they are going to be achiral molecules, right? So now I hope you have an understanding, a fair understanding, what is a plane of symmetry and how we identify that in the molecule.
That would be all for this lecture. I hope you've enjoyed your learning with me today, and we are going to continue this further. We will be discussing the rest of the elements of symmetry in the next lecture. So I hope you're going to join me back for your learning. So see you again. Have a nice day. God bless you.